everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's video format is going to be a bit different than my usual track videos. For those of you that have seen my track videos, you know that I usually record while I'm there, but yesterday was just such a hectic day. There were accidents on the track, my car started having problems, and the most weighted thing was that I was working while I was there. And I'm also a bit stressed as well because I'm here working. I have my laptop right there. That's why I'm in here inside the car. So it just made it really difficult to focus and try to do both things at the same time. And I also want to tell you how the track schedule does change now that summer just started. So usually when it's not summer, they do 2 days out of the month. So it's usually Saturday and Sunday. But now that summer has begun, they only have 1 day out of the month. So either you make it or you don't make it, and that's a Saturday. And when you do have these track days, they're usually an entire 8 hours. So from the beginning of the day to the afternoon. But now, in order to beat the heat, because it gets really hot in Arizona, in the summer it can get probably to like 120 during the day, but since summer just started right now, it probably gets to like maybe 107, 110. But either way, they make it 4 hours a day now, and it's really early in the morning from 6 to 10 a.m. and the track sessions go really fast. They're back to back to back. I do want to tell you more about everything that happened yesterday later on in the video. For now, I do have the quick tracks under the Shelby because I do want to lift the car up and I do like a complete check around the car, check some wear and tear items, like for example the tires, the brakes and rotors. So let's go ahead, get the car lifted, and then let's get started. Alright guys, so I just finished checking the brakes and rotors, and what I use to measure the rotors is this long reach digital caliper, and for the pads is this brake pads measuring tool. So this is pretty much straightforward. So green is good, yellow's okay, and red you need to replace your pads ASAP. So the minimum is 35 millimeters and these measured 35.8 millimeters. And the rear, they're still good as well. So these measured 25.8 millimeters and the minimum thickness is 24 millimeters. So that's all good. Now, as far as the brake pads, I remember last time I checked them, they were at 8 millimeters, but this time they measured 7 millimeters for both the inner and the outer pad. So that was at the front. Here at the rear, I remember last time too, they were at 8 millimeters and they're still at 8 millimeters, both the inner and the outer pad. So I think that just means one thing. I probably need to just start braking way later and start braking harder. So I'll keep that in mind for the next track session. But let's go ahead and check the tires. So I was a bit worried about the tread wear, at least for the front tires, because I did go get an alignment the day before the track day, and they were only able to get these front tires to negative 0.17 camber because they said that was completely maxed out. So I will be needing camber plates for the front, but at least it was a good thing that the track was crowded. So I wasn't able to drive as aggressively, but checking the wear, it seems like out evenly. The rear, I wasn't too worried because they were able to get it like around negative 1.8 camber. So the tread wear is pretty good on these. Now let's check the other side. All right, so the front is okay, and the rear is okay too. Now, let me just tell you about what happened at the track because it was a very hectic and chaotic day. There was an accident in every single session. So we have 4 sessions in total, and they were like around probably like 1 or 2 accidents per session. This is the first time that I go to a track event where there's that many accidents, and it just happened in the red group, which is probably more understandable because that's like the newbies group. That's where the drivers from the new orientation and then the ones that are still relatively new within their driver skills or driver experience. So, but I'm not sure what happened because it wasn't, at least for me, it wasn't a hard track at all, but either they were going off track and spinning out, they were hitting the wall or hitting a wall of tires. And that was a bit annoying and frustrating because if the cars couldn't drive out themselves, then they had to come and get a flatbed and remove those cars. But then they had to slow us down, take us off the track, and we had to wait until they removed that car out. And all that time it took for them to remove that, so let's say it took 10 minutes, then those 10 minutes were taken off of our time. It's not like they were added on top of it. So I really couldn't track it as much time as I could. I probably tracked it for a total of 40 minutes out of like an hour and 20 minutes that it should have been. So that's very unfortunate. And it was also very, very crowded, which I have no idea why. I was actually expecting less cars because this is like a track addicts event since it was from 6 to 10 a.m. So you would think there were less cars, but it seems like it attracted even more cars. So on top of having the accidents and having to get off track because they were trying to remove that car and it just being very crowded with so many cars, it made it really hard for me to warm up these tires because these already take kind of a long time to warm up. So if I was behind a slow car, then it would take me much longer to warm them up. And then also if there was an accident and we had to get off track, then by the time they were starting to get warm, I had to get off, wait outside for a few minutes, and they would just cool down. So I needed to start the process all over again. So that was a bit annoying. So right now let's go ahead and put the wheels back on the car, lower from the quick track, and let me tell you the other problems that I faced with my car. Okay, so I was having two issues with my car. So the first issue, I was driving in the session when I noticed that my RPMs kept hesitating on the higher end. And I just happened to glance at my oil pressure and I saw that it was maxing out at 75. And then I happened to glance at my dash and I saw that there was an engine light. So I immediately slowed down and got off the track. So I checked for any oil leakage. There wasn't any. I checked the oil, which it was extremely hot, but I was wearing the racing gloves and it didn't burn me at all, but the oil was fine. So then I decided to scan the ECU with the N gauge and I came back with the code saying that the system was running too rich. So then I immediately thought of the E54 that I was running. It was probably boiling and evaporating due to the hot temperature because it was very hot that day. It was like around 98 or 99 degrees. So then I just decided to let the car cool off, and then I went to the gas station and I mixed it with some 91 just because I wanted to dilute the ethanol content. So now after all that, I'm thinking on a hot summer day, I'm not running a full tank of E54. Maybe on a cold day, but not on a hot summer day. So then after that, it was my last session. So I got back on, I was driving, and halfway during that session, then I kept hearing like what was almost like a ding sound. So then I glanced at my oil pressure, it was fine. I glanced at my dash, no engine light, but I also kept seeing that the RPMs kept kind of hesitating at the higher end again. But since I didn't have an engine light, I just kept driving. And I mean, it wasn't like it was a long session anyways because of all the accidents. So it wasn't until it finally finished and I finally got out that I noticed I did have an engine light, but the engine light, it kept flashing like every few seconds, then it kept going away, then it kept coming back and doing the same thing. So then I decided to scan the ECU again, and it came back with the system code that I was misfiring on cylinder 8. So what I want to do now is I want to check the spark plug on cylinder 8. Although I have no idea on which bank it is, so I'm just going to pull both of them out and check them. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay guys, so I ended up removing the spark plugs and I'm going with this one on the right is 8. So this one was on the driver's side, and simply because comparing these two, the one on the right is like a shade darker than this one on the left on the thread and even on top. I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up, maybe under this lighting, but you can see that it's darker, and even on the thread and on top it seems like there's like a glaze there. So I don't know if that's fuel or oil. Well, it's safe to say that I'll be ordering new spark plugs and replacing them, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave this video here because it is getting pretty late and I do have to work tomorrow. And speaking of work, I did mention to you guys that I was working while I was at the track because it is a Saturday and I do work on Saturdays. I was also up since 4 in the morning working because that's the time that I usually start work. Let me tell you that I was tired and I was just a bit stressed because when I wasn't out on the track, then I was just in my car working on my laptop. I wasn't even able to like walk around, look at other cars, or even speak to anyone. I just couldn't find coverage for Saturday, and I mean, I wasn't going to let this track day go to waste since now they only do one day. Usually I would just go on Sundays because I don't work that day, but track is life, so I'm like, I'm gonna take my laptop, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna make the best out of this day and just take full advantage because I do want to track the Gt350. Now, even with the delays and the track day lasting like a little bit longer, like an hour and a half longer because of all the accidents, I still had to stay to work because I had a critical outage that I had to take care of. Now, hopefully next month in July, it's only one day again, so hopefully I can get coverage. If not, then I'm gonna go ahead and take my laptop again and go to the track because, like I said, it's only one day out of the month and I just need to take full advantage. But now, the car is pretty dirty. It's probably not picking it up on camera as usual, but I do need to wash it. And when I did get my wheels, I did want to ceramic coat them. I just didn't have time to do it before the track day. So I know this is something that I should have done before, but unfortunately I didn't have time. So now I'm just gonna wash the car, wash the wheels, and I will be ceramic coating them. So I will be making a video on that, so stay tuned. So now, before we end this video, I will be inserting here a few clips of a few laps around the track. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.